This video shows you how to make interlocking hearts. This is a variation on the chain. It's two links that are linked together and they're shaped like hearts. After you practice making one of these, you might decide to change the size of the wood to suit you best. I'm using butternut for this project. Basswood would also be a good choice. Any wood that is softer and easier to hand carve is good for this project. The wood I'm using is 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches by 4 inches long. The way you mark your project is you make an X on both ends, then a plus sign down the middle, and then the middle marks helps you center your project, because you go from the plus sign and make a little mark on one end and then make another little mark there and then connect your line. Use a pencil for that, because if you use like I used a black fine, extra fine permanent marker, you don't want that down the center. It'd be harder to remove later. But you draw your center line on all 4 sides. Then you measure from the center line 1/4 of an inch over, mark a straight line, and on the other side of the center line 1/4 of an inch over, mark your line. So this is your piece that you'll be keeping. The orange areas that you see is the 4 corners that will be removed. If you only have a knife and you're working that way, you would make a stop cut over the length of this line and on the opposite side, because you're removing this area, and then you whittle away that corner. Just keep moving down farther and keep making your stop cut over and over until you get all 4 corners removed. You could also use a coping saw to do that. I've gotten the 4 corners removed, and what you do next is you divide this up into thirds, like 1, 2, 3 sections, and then what you do is this orange part here and this orange part down here, you remove those. It's like 2 sticks of wood when you get them removed. You take a coping saw, cut straight down here on the top, and you cut all the way down to that flat section there. Then you take the coping saw and cut it out. You start across that way and you cut straight down level with this level area. So you're removing a rectangle of wood on the top, and you do the same thing. You remove this part here, the rectangle of wood, on the other end. I've already done that on this side. So what you end up with is like two squares, and the squares fit together like so. There's one square this way and one square upright. I've now got the last of the sawing finished. So it's now like two pieces of wood, like two rectangles of wood, you might say. And basically you draw the hearts on by eye, like so. Then you, after you get the hearts drawn on, then you remove the outer edges that need to be removed. And after you get all the outer edges removed, then you remove the inside of the hearts. You do stop cuts on the inside along the edges, and then you remove the inside pieces of wood. You could use a gouge if you have one. A gouge would work great. Then after you get your hearts carved out, then it's simply a matter of rounding them out to get them to look good. I've now gotten everything on the outside of the hearts removed and all of the excess wood on the inside removed. I left a little bit of wood right there at the base where the points of the heart are. I left a little bit extra. This past this line is a little bit extra that I left. That way gives me room to extend the points of the heart. Now the only thing left to do, it's going to be tricky, but what's left to do is go in at the base where these are still connected and remove that with a knife. Go way down in and remove it as best I can. It's pretty close, but I believe I can get that done. I used a gouge. I got a very, very small gouge. I used that. And I also used an electric rotary tool to help me remove the excess wood in the middle. So after that's cut in two, then I can move the links around and finish cleaning them up and then round them out, and then this is finished. I got this finished now. It's been sanded really well, and I added a stain to it, golden pecan stain. I used butternut wood. I used a Dremel bit to separate the two hearts, because that was such a tight, snug little spot to get into. I used this Dremel bit, and then I went in at it from different directions, and then kept working on it little by little, and it did not take very long at all.